Hi everybody, welcome back to our podcast. Over the last few weeks, we have been talking about joy. Jesus over you. We have discussed the difference between happiness and joy and how we can obtain joy through obedience. But this week, I want to focus on the things that can steal your joy away. I believe that most of us try to do some things that will bring us closer to Jesus and that will give us joy. But sometimes there's some things that come in that we're not really aware of, that we allow in our lives because they seem either good or you just don't even notice them. Right. There's some everyday actions that we do that will cause our joy to be stolen right from underneath us. And so I just want to list a few of those today. And obviously this is not a complete list. This isn't something and each one's going to be totally different because some people are going to struggle with one thing while other people struggle with different things. The first one I want to talk about is perfectionism. And this one really spoke to me because being a perfectionist is my struggle. For years, I would never see how trying to make things perfect was stealing my joy. In my head, I was like, obviously, there's a perfect God. And he does things perfect. So why wouldn't he want me to do things perfect? Right. And while God never calls us to be slothful or to, do things half-heartedly, those things are not supposed to be done in ourselves. If we're constantly trying to strive to be perfect, we're fleshly, we're sinful, we're human. We're never going to reach that goal on our own. And then you get mad and it steals your joy when things go wrong or the way that you thought it was going to come out, it doesn't happen that way. Have you ever had that?
Yeah, kind of. So as I was growing up, I feel like I had the I was the fear of God in a not good way. I felt like I was always if I don't do if I don't follow the 10 Commandments perfectly, God's gonna strike me with lightning. Yeah. And so then if I did sin, it's well, either God didn't pay attention to that or he's gonna forgive me. You know what I mean? I just felt like I was trying to be perfect, and in doing that, it's you can't enjoy things because you know what I mean. You're walking around tiptoes, I can't mess up, and then there's no joy in that at all.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would it's either and I've struggled for a really long time in my Christianity that way. Right. You're well, maybe I'm saved. And you're once saved, always. It's not, I'm saved today, but I'm not saved tomorrow. Right. I'm not this. So but when I was younger, I didn't understand that concept because I knew I sinned. And I knew that, and it was just what now? What now? I sinned, but the lightning didn't strike. Right. I didn't die. Right. Someone around me didn't die. It's just, and that's the thing is I think that we just need to have that open conversation that it's not always gonna be that way. Right. You know what I mean? But another thing that can steal our joy, that I think that we can kind of get a little bit backwards is ambition. So obviously ambition is a good thing. It produces the new inventions that we have. The society, obviously our society is kind of topsy-turvy, right now. But the being able to have fresh water, those things in food and different sources of food and being able to create medicines and different things, those are all by people that were ambitious because they thought outside the box. However, I think in our everyday lives, we focus more on our ambitions and not God's ambitions. Right. And so we can have all the goals we want, and we think that we will be joyful in those things if we meet them. But I have personally met goals that were my own personal goals, and I was
no fulfillment.
Yeah, there's no, I was oh, this is gonna make me happy, and it doesn't. Yeah. And then you're okay, well, now I have to make another goal. Right. But I've noticed when we accomplish God-given goals, it's a totally different world. Yeah. And I think that's why we have to be aware of what is God-given and what is our own selfish wants. Right. I just think that in personally my own life with my goals and just different things that were going on, you start to think, oh, I did that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole thing. This whole thing, the joy, the Jesus over you, and it'll be a reoccurring theme here, is that when you take God out of it, it won't mean anything to you. It doesn't give you joy. It gives you a temporary happiness.
Right. And like you can have ambition for things not churchy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it still be pleasing to God.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you can, I was listening to a podcast earlier this week about thinking on things that are lovely and like the Bible verse that goes with that. And it was about not just like you have to think about God and like Jesus and Bible and like spiritual things, but like you can think about things like food and like even like sports and different things that we're like, well, you can't think about that stuff because then that takes you down the wrong road. Yeah. But you can, as long as you're keeping your eyes on God and you're doing it in a godly way, and that doesn't become your idol.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's kind of what you're talking about here is you can have the ambition to play really well at basketball or, you know, I don't even know, like for us, like we want to pay off our house early, like you know what I mean? Just like things like that. But when that becomes our idol, that's where it's wrong. But we can do those things and ambitiously even and still be pleasing to God.
And that's the thing. I forgot to read it because I'm all out of everywhere. But like ambition is literally a strong desire to do or achieve something, and it typically requires a lot of hard work and sacrifice. And just like you said, it's not wrong to want those things. But I think where people get messed up is they get upset when they don't get those things because it wasn't God given. Right. So like for me, I have a desire and ambition to have a family. But obviously we're not on that road yet, and I could very well likely not be able to have kids. And we don't know that. You know what I mean? And you never know what issues may arise. But I need to know that my happiness or my joy does not come from me having kids.
Right.
My joy comes from God either choosing to give them to me or not. To have the contentment of whatever happens.
Exactly.
And I think that's where people get really messed up. Now, this last one, like kind of last one, if there's more to discuss, we can discuss more. But the last one I have really wrote down. And when I say it, everyone's going to be like, turn it off. I know that I don't do this one because I know it's wrong. But envy will steal your joy. And I think most of us, again, we think, oh, I know, I've grown up in church. I know, covet. I'm not allowed to covet anything. But we still do it.
Right.
And even in the small things. And there's a difference between a healthy, like, oh, I'm going to strive to have this, compared to I am just going to fall away if I don't have it.
Right.
And
two, I think your attitude towards someone. So if someone gets something or does something that you really want, go to them like, oh, I'm so happy for you. But then behind their back, you're like, oh, I can't believe, like, why did they get that? Or like, did you see what they got this again? Like, you know what I mean? Like your attitude towards them face to face, but even not, when you're not with them, I think that's a big part of envy, the face to face and the relationship part of it.
And I think that's like for me, I have watched people in the church and outside the church. It kind of is, and that's the sad thing, is it shouldn't be both inside church and the outside the church because we're supposed to be different than the world. But I've watched people say, well, why did they get that? They can't afford that. Right. Why did they get this? They can't have this. They don't deserve this. And it's like, and even Josh isn't with us today, but we were just discussing out in the fellowship hall. We have lunch after church, and he said that no one's truly ever just happy for someone. It's always, I'm happy for you, but or that's nice for you, but it's either going to be I deserved it better or they don't deserve it at all. Right. And that's everything. Everybody in this age where, social media is like everywhere. I remember when we were younger, we had Picto Chat. Most of you kids don't even know what Picto Chat is. They're like, what is this
That
dinosaur?
was like our only means of conversation when we were in the same room.
And the thing about Picto Chat was like literally we could only be sitting about this far apart. Actually, I think it was like 50 feet.
It seemed very close.
Yeah, it was like one edge of the room. But my thing is like in this world of everything is online, we as humans constantly are looking at other ones and comparing ourselves to them. And we were just talking about this. We were discussing the podcast and different things. And I want you to share the thing that you told me about you with your postings and stuff.
So I used to post things with like our family, like the kids and stuff, and because like you would see pictures of everyone else and their kids doing fun days, and you're like, oh, that looks so fun. And like I'm like, well, I want people to think I'm having fun. So then I found myself like doing stuff with the kids just so I could post a picture. You know what I mean? Or like trying to, in the midst of the chaos, like, okay, everyone smile, we're having a fun time, you know, and like just to be able to post it on Facebook. And I'm like just so that people think that I'm a good mom. People think that I'm having fun. I'm like, no. Like, and so I stopped posting on Facebook pretty much, especially those kind of things, because I didn't want the reason I'm with my kids and the reason I'm doing things and to be so other people think that I'm having fun. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to have fun. And so I think that, you know, looking at social media, the point of social media, and that's why like I kind of just took a break and I don't even really want to go back, but you post. And then what do? You
look for the reactions.
You're constantly going back and looking.
You're validating it.
Yeah, like, okay, who liked it? Who, you know, like who liked it? How many comments am I up to? How many likes am I up to? And you're looking for attention. And so you want people to like you want people to please you. And so that's why I stopped. It's just because I was like, I want people to envy me. You know what I mean? Like I want not just, you know.
Oh, she has such cute kids.
Yeah.
I wish that my kids were like that. I wish that my kids would do these things with me.
Right. I wish
when
I could
in reality, you're just like holding a gun to them in the back.
Right. Like, yeah. Like, listen, if you smile for this picture, I'll give you a piece of candy. Like, you know. But so I just stopped it all together. Now that doesn't mean I stopped having fun with my kids or we stopped doing family days or whatever.
We just sit at home now.
Yeah. We don't do anything. No. I just didn't want that to be driven by other people's opinions or thoughts of me. And so
it was creating you happiness when people would like things or they would react to it, but it wasn't bringing you joy because you had to almost put on like a facade.
Yeah.
And you took away from your kids in that because you were like, oh, we're going to do this fun thing, but then as soon as you got your like camera moment, it's almost like you don't feel
well,
like
it's done now. Like, And so now like we do things like we go and have family time and we've actually do quite a bit now. But I don't post about it because that's not why I do it. You know, and I think that we have to look at like, why are we doing things? Are we wanting attention? Are we wanting people to be jealous of us? You know, and that'll steal your joy too.
Oh yeah.
You know, the flip side of envy almost.
Trying to keep up this like facade, trying to make everybody else like you. And that's really what I wanted to nail like home today was these are things that we bring into our lives and we don't even realize it. Like literally just, and I'm not saying that you should, you know, every Christian that's listening to this should just take away Facebook, take away Instagram, what are other things? TikTok, Twitter.
I don't know.
I'm not very much in the social media stage. But like all these things, people, I'm not saying you throw it out the door and you like, if you are a frequent poster, just
think about why you're posting it.
Yeah. If you're posting it for that person to like it, or you're posting it just for you to look good, maybe you should step back and like really analyze why you're posting. Now, if you're posting, just be like, hey, I just want to have a documentation of what this is, that's fine. But don't do it for other people.
Unless you're doing it like
for like family members, I want to see.
Like family members or even like people that post like I know like my mom and Josh and different ones. My dad, they post like Bible verses, and your mom does like bits of devotion. Like if you're wanting to uplift other people, like that's different. But if you're doing it for attention and trying to make other people whatever, then
it's not worth it.
That's no fun.
And that will steal your joy. Even though you think, well, it's just a post. It will still like every day, and you'll notice the more that you post. We lived in an era where YouTube first started, and I remember we had a YouTube channel. We will not put that. We will not put that out there because it's not good. It's bad. Not bad in like bad.
It's embarrassing to us.
Yeah, it's embarrassing to us. We don't want that ever to be out there. But I remember when we made those posts that you like first time you'd have like 100 views, and then as your things went on, it was like 10, 20. And so if your happiness is in the amount of
views or subscribers or whatever,
the amount of what's the word? Like there's a word, interaction. The amount of interaction, then you're always going to be left empty.
Because you're always going to want more.
And a lot of times it lessens over the time. But yeah, that's basically the three that I wanted to kind of put out there because I feel like there's a lot of ones that people, bitterness, we know that steals our joy.
Right.
Sin, we know that steals our joy. Even though those are things we still allow into our lives, which most of these can fall under the category of sin if you're putting things above God. But those are just things that, like, I know in my life, I'm like, oh.
These things can kind of creep in.
Yeah.
Without, like, being, like, in your face that they're there.
And, like, you don't go to church and it's like, you being perfect is not going to be good for you. You don't hear that every Sunday. It's sin, sin, sin. But I just wanted everybody to know those types of things. Is there anything that you, like, any things that you notice in your life that you feel like steal your joy, that allow you to, like, kind of drop it?
I think when, like, so sometimes I'll be trying to, like, focus on something, and, like, when we're trying to half-heartedly do things, that steals your joy. I feel like, like, whether I'm reading and praying and the kids are up, or if I'm, you know what I mean, like, if I'm, like, trying to, like, stop, you know, sitting on your brother's head and, like, reading, like, I can't, like, half-heartedly do things. So, like, when we're not, kind of with ambition, but, like, the flip side almost, like, when you're not giving it your all, that can kind of steal your joy, because you're not able to just do it to the full extent that God created you to.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, because I don't read very well. Like, I don't like to, like, read a whole lot, because reading comprehension thing, I have to read things like 7 times to be able to get it. But, like, I listen to the Bible while I'm reading, and I'll notice that sometimes I'll, like, kind of zone out, and then when I come back, I'm like, well, I mean, I technically read it, but then I never feel good when that happens. And I always feel like, okay. And then the next day, usually, God's like, you need to go back.
You probably should read that again.
You should probably read that again, because you did not get it the first time. But it's just these little things. And even if you want to, maybe I'll just give you guys a challenge. Let's do that. We've never done that before. Ooh, we're going to give a challenge. Think about your life every day. When you're talking to people, when you're at home alone, when you're with your family, when you're, whatever you're doing, think about the things that are stealing your joy. So, you know, you're sitting at work and a certain coworker walked by. I'm not working right now, so my only coworker is me. But your certain coworker walks by, and instantly you're like, they didn't even say anything to you, but you're just like, their presence, that's stealing your joy.
So, kind of in a way of Jesus over you, instead of letting that steal your joy, why don't you maybe do something for that person? You know what I mean? Like, instead of, like, letting it steal your joy, use that to bring you joy. You know what I mean?
So, like, your homework this week, and whenever you want to, you know, start and stop it, but kind of just really take a moment and analyze the things in your life that make you upset, that make you angry, and see if because there is justified anger, there is justified hurt, there's justified all those things. But make sure they're justified and they're not just selfish reasons. They're not just reasons because you are upset about it and you want what you want. But I think that if you actually wrote those things down, you'll be like, ooh, I have a lot of things. Because even when I was doing this, I'm like, all of those things I do every single day. Every day. And I'm allowing this to happen. It's not something that's like, I am getting, like, you know, knocked over the head with a water jug baseball bat.
Just random example.
Without me knowing. It's literally me being like, oh, I opened the door to it. I'm like, oh, I'm looking at this social media. Oh, that person has a nice car, a nice house. Whoop. I'm letting the envy right in. And we allow these things to happen because we're not aware of them. But if you write them down, if you have somebody knocking at your door and you know that they're already in the list, you know who they are, and you don't want them, you're not going to let them in. The Jehovah's Witnesses, when they come to the door, you don't open the door. But if it's your mom, if it's someone that you're used to, you're going to open the door. But if it's someone you know, oh, it's this person, not opening the door. And you make that active choice, then I feel like that would be a lot more joyful, a lot more. Because literally this whole thing is Jesus over you. Yeah, that was just a few things that we let into our lives, and they will slowly and even sneakily steal your joy. These will cause you to come to conflict with other Christians, and they will drive you away from God and cause you to lose your joy and fall out of the things that God wants for you. These are common things that we face every day, and we don't even think about it. And if we don't watch out, they will steal our joy. I just want all of you to realize that as soon as you take Jesus out of the equation and allow yourselves or the things around you to become between you and Jesus, you will lose your joy. To have true joy, you have to have Jesus over you even in the small things.
Yep.
Today's quote, I was just telling her, a lot of times, like, your guys' quotes have, like, fancy names behind them. This one doesn't have a name because I'm a Pinterest person. And that's my social media.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Pinterest. But today's quote is, life is not about the pursuit of happiness. It is about the joy in the pursuit of God. And I really think that really just lands at home. It literally has nothing to do with you and the things that you want. It's all about who he wants you to be in his life. And today's featured song is kind of fun. It's not really super serious, but I know most of you probably know it. It is Grace Got You by Mercy Me. Well, thank you guys for, putting up with our jibber jabbering.
Yet another week.
Another week, another time. But we really appreciate it. We really appreciate you guys being here, and we hope that you guys are getting something out of this. But yeah, so that's pretty much all we have for this week. So listen to that song, read the quote, share, like, whatever on the Facebooks or YouTube. Is this on YouTube or is it just on Facebook?
I have no idea what he does with these.
We are not the technical side of things. But we'll see you guys next week with another. I think we're still doing Joy.
I think we're Joy for the month.
I think we're Joy for the month. So we'll see you guys next week, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.